So with this formation now, I have a whole 11 filled with different players of different playing styles. So once I explain to you why I use certain players in which position and all of that jazz, then you guys will understand and have a better team set up, and hopefully it works for you. So without further ado, let's get into the review. And as it relates to this G.Ripa, looking into the manager info, as you guys can see, it's a 3-3-2-2. It's as simple as that. So you have 3 center backs at the back. It's as simple as that. What you guys need to understand is that for the offensive tactic, your defensive line is actually pretty high up the pitch. It's really high up the pitch. So it kind of helps, you know, being as an offside trap automatically. So technically, those over the top balls, more than likely it can catch you, but if you have a fast center back and you know how to do the long ball spams properly, then you'll easily get it, and more persons are actually involved into the attack. When you switch to the defensive tactic now, what happens is that you have less people involved in the attack and your defensive line is a bit low. Not even a bit low, I think it's about 3 levels lower than the offensive tactic. So it actually helps, especially if you have a 1-goal lead or a 2-goal lead and you need to defend properly. You just switch that to defensive tactic and you're all set to go. So it's basically that. What you guys need to do is that it's short passes and you attack wide, and your containment area is central, so you force your opponents to basically go onto the wings. And when that happens, that's when like your left mid or your right mid comes in, because they kind of act like a left back or a right wing back or whatever, left wing back, to really overlap with the center back that gets drawn out so that the positions are filled properly. And your midfielders play a very integral role into this whole formation, and I'll tell you why in a bit. So that's about that on that. And as it relates to this, my first objective is basically I use a defensive goalkeeper. The reason why I do that is because I don't really want a goalkeeper to run out of the goal, because that usually results in an easier goal for them. Sometimes I prefer a keeper that stays on his line. And yes, you guys have watched the Whitmer series and you guys have seen me say Cech would never do that, but in this case I love to use Cech because Cech is actually one of the most clutch goalkeepers. Yes, this is not me being brainwashed. I'm actually believing that Cech is one of the best goalkeepers in the game. But yes, you guys can use other defensive goalkeepers like David De Gea or Black, you name it. You choose which one you want. That's basically that for the goalkeepers. As it relates to the center backs now, what you guys need to understand is that let me show you. I use two destroyers. I have one on the right center back and one on the left center back. So I have Koulibaly, very good in the air, very quick, and I have Sol Campbell. The reason why that's because they're there for those last ditch tackles, that you really need, especially if you want to stop an Mbappe or a Romini or a Torres. Not saying that you automatically are going to stop Mbappe or anything, but I'm just saying it's for that purpose. And in between them you have a build-up player. So you could use like Beckenbauer. Yes, you can use Beckenbauer in centre back for this one. He's a build-up player and he's being guarded by 2 other centre backs. So more than likely he can do a job there. You can use him, you can use Varane, you can use there are a lot of build-up center backs in the game. You just choose which one works for you. You guys have to remember that you have to use a center back that is actually on form. So check it out. You guys are gonna ask me if this formation is better than Kanto's formation. Yes, it's better in some areas and it's not as good in other areas. The reason why I say that is because with 3 center backs at the back, it's more defensively capable, and you have the wingers or the flank players there, so you have more options. Sometimes with the Kanto formation, because it's so compact, you have to wait a bit for your right back or left back. These are your wing backs to actually progress forward, for your players to actually go on the wings, because with Kanto it's not actually attacking central. You can attack central, but it's actually attacking from the wings. But most of the times players aren't on the wings for you to get there. So even though you're playing nice balls going forward or you're doing your counter attack or whatever, the players aren't getting there on the wings in time for you to swing in the ball before your opponents fill up the box with a lot of defenders or a lot of players to run back. So yeah, that's one of the faults that I really have with it. Apart from the compactness, there's not really enough space for you to string balls, go side to side. But yeah, that's that. As it relates to my midfield, I use 3 different types of midfielders. First of all, I changed one of the central midfielder role to defensive midfielder. You guys know my thing already. So that defensive mid forward is a destroyer. So that's Patrick Vieira in that respect. With Patrick Vieira there, yeah, he's there for those last 6 tackles as well. So I'm very defensively capable in this formation. What happens is that he sits a bit deeper, guarding the defense a little bit. So he's like the one who intercepts any ground passes that come towards the any striker that's there. So that's why he's there. That's his job. You know, when he goes forward, that's when the defenders come back a little, if you get what I'm trying to say. Or if the defenders go a bit forward, that's when he comes back to fill the gap just for a little bit. He's not that fast, so he won't really you know, come back to really save the day, but he can do a job. My what, I think this is my left center mid. I have Matthias. Matthias is an orchestrator. What he does is he sits deep and he strings balls going forward. So he always initiates the attack. So with him, I actually use him to intercept the ball because he can intercept the ball really well. So with him, I use him to intercept the ball and I string it going to the flanks. So whether I want to switch it on the right flank or switch it on the left flank, that's what I use him for. And he starts the attack. Or he can play the 1-2 with either Vera or I think that's Lampard beside him. Seeing that Lampard is a whole player and a whole player is a player who runs into the space. So if you're defending, he's going to run into a space to defend. And if you're attacking, he's going to be the one running, bolting past your defenders, or not your defenders, bolting past your strikers to try and go into an empty space, so he can either draw the attention out of the defenders, acting as some sort of target man-ish, or he could just run into a space that nobody's looking at and score an easy tap in. You just have to be observing the runs of your players because he's not that fast. Him or Bruno Fernandes, they're not really that fast, but they're really good at taking shots, so you can use them. So yes, I have an orchestrator, a whole player, and a destroyer in my midfield. And as you can see, central midfielder, defensive midfielder, central midfielder. And the flank players, it's as simple as that. You just need players who can cross the ball properly. That's Nedved and that's Beckham. It's as simple as that. There's no in between, there's no if buts or what. You can use that. That's what they're there for. That's why they're there. So you need some kind of cross specialist. My Beckham is a cross specialist, so that's why I use him. You can use Figo, you can use any flank player. Anybody who has pinpoint crossing, you can use them. You can even use your right back or your left back as long as they have pinpoint crossing. So you can use Cafu, you can use Roberto Carlos. The thing is, it don't even matter who you want to use. Once they have good passing, it's supposed to do a job. Because I have players who say pinpoint crossing, my bad, and they're not doing anything at all. Like I would do 6 crosses in a match and only 1 goes through, and I'm like, what's the purpose of giving them pinpoint crossing if it's not being pinpoint? Well, who cares anyway? So yeah, as it relates to this, my 2 strikers up top, I have one as a post player or a target man. That's Kluivert. In that case, what he does is he draws the attention of the defenders and either takes some sort of long shot from outside of the box because he has the ability to do that, or he just draws the attention of the defenders so your goal poacher can have an easier run going forward. In this case, the goal poacher is Batistuta, iconic moment version. I'm gonna do a review for him soon, so just wait for that. And yeah, he's very good going forward. He's a bit slow and his stamina isn't really all that, but yeah, I advise you guys to really start the match off attacking really, but don't really attack too much because this formation requires a lot of running, but it's very good defensively. The problem is just you need to learn how to break down attacks. So sometimes bring balls, go straight and then switch on the flanks, but when you switch on the flanks you do like a pass and go so that everybody runs into the box, so when you cross the ball they have more players inside of the box to really head the ball. But yeah, that's basically the review for that. Comment down below which other managers you'd like to see me do. That's basically it for this review. I have some other reviews coming up soon, so just comment down below which other reviews you'd like to see. I'm Sharc Gaming and I'm out.